The harder they survey you, the better their surveillance. Rich get richer, I'm sure you understand. Poor get poorer. Inflation, inflation, inflation. That sounds like higher house prices to me. If I decide to walk through the worst area of town with $1 million in cash, yeah, nobody should rob me. You're right, it's a crime to rob me. But am I making myself a robbery target? Am I making myself easy to rob? It would be irresponsible for me to do such a thing. I'm in a fortunate situation because 99% of men who was hit like I was hit couldn't have done what I've done. And I'll tell you why. Firstly, there's the mental aspect. Every man thinks he's tough till it's going on. Two, when you have the BBC attacking you, attacking your mother, attacking your family, attacking the mothers of your children, when your kids are getting kicked out of school, when reporters are following your old mother around, when they've closed all your bank accounts down, when they're trying their very best to call all your ex-girlfriends and build up cases that don't exist, when they're printing lies about you, when you know you can go to jail at any moment for nothing. That's a lot of mental stress. Most people, I'd argue, couldn't deal with that mental stress. But I speak to all the men out there at home telling you have no consent. Because if it happens to the average man, he's done. He is done. It happens to footballers. They're famous and they lose their contracts, they lose everything. It's crazy. There's no such thing as sexual consent in the West for a man anymore. I didn't even realize that until you asked me that question. I thought it was blurred because of morality. But after analyzing it, it turns out it doesn't exist at all, which is even worse. There's no such thing as sexual consent. As a man, how are you supposed to live your life? I guess you just don't talk to women at all. I guess you just don't reproduce, right? If you have no kids, you have nothing to live for. You just sit there and play video games. If you're gonna try and turn women into men, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have short, broke, emotional men. We're gonna lose to big, strong, tall, stoic men. And then they're gonna be resentful of the men who do better than them. And then you're gonna give that resentful person power to destroy any man's life at a whim without evidence. I'm just talking out loud, I don't know. Is that scary? How do most tech companies make money today? They give away a free product and they use your personal information.
You are the product.
You are the product, that's right. So you use Facebook or you use Instagram, you use a free product and they get personal information about you and your habits. And they take that information and they monetize it. So the logical extension of that fact would be that the more information they obtain about you, the better they will be at monetizing that information. So that means that large companies are trying their very best to know everything about you. The harder they survey you, the better their surveillance, the more profitable they will be. And companies' primary objective is to be as profitable as possible, meaning that tech companies and large companies, by extension, which are basically government, because government have their fingers in all of them, want to spy on you as much as possible. The reason they want to do that is to build a pattern of your behavior. And they use that pattern of your behavior to predict how you're going to spend money, or predict how they can make you spend money. If we show him this type of advert at this time for this length of time, he's more likely to spend than if we don't, because of all the other millions of people who fit his profile, this was the most reactive type of advertisement. If you accept all of that to be true, then you must accept the next logical extension to that, which means if they have all this information on your patterns and how they can make money from you, they must be trying to change your patterns. How can we change the algorithm or the app to make the pattern Bs be more like the pattern As so we can make more money? If the goal of a business is forever profit, they want to forever survey and they want an ideal customer. And if they understand your patterns of behavior, they must be trying to influence your patterns of behavior. I'm good at talking, but now we have machines doing it. So we talk about the future and AI. People say, what do you think about AI? I think AI is going to change how we all think and act. I'm not worried about what the machines are going to do. I'm worried about what you're going to do. You as a person. I'm worried about what the people are going to do when the AI becomes good enough to truly turn the pattern Bs into the pattern As. What disaster do we need to come up with? What words do we need to type in which order? In which order do we have to show them the different articles for it to be a logical continuation in their brain for them to come to the conclusion we want them to come to? I'm not worried about what AI is going to do on its own. I'm worried about what it's going to do to all of us. Because that's how they're making money now, is by surveying us and controlling us. So when you talk about money matrix, it just reminded me about how surveillance capitalism, I guess that's the only capitalism we have now. surveillance capitalism. I guess I would like to, and I'm doing this on the fly, so I don't know, but what is communism? Communism is spying on absolutely everything somebody does to make sure they adhere to the correct creeds, so you can make as much money as possible from them, but if they don't do the right things, you delete their ability to exist as a human. Every day, the government passes new laws. Every week, every month, whatever. Have you ever seen the government take a law away? So over time, they just get more and more and more and more control. They don't take laws away, they just add new ones on top. Where does that end? If you have 100 marbles and I take one away every day, it ends at 0. Doesn't matter if it takes a while, but that's where we end up, right? So the governments are all going to try and end up with us in some form of slavery. You can call it communism, you can call it something else. But this money matrix, you talk about surveillance capitalism, I don't think that's far off communism anyway. I don't think anybody, you're right, we have no free and fair markets, we have no freedom of speech. We just talked about the freedom of society, how garbage that is. Democracy is a scam, that's a lie, because they influence and control the media, if the voting machines work. So what do we have besides God? The average person stands so little chance of being financially free. It's ridiculous how screwed most people are. They don't even know how screwed they are. You know, let me tell you something that's really hilarious. This nearly made me laugh out loud. I don't have Facebook because I'm banned, but I saw a Facebook post. My mom shared it with me somewhere. And it was a 17-year-old who was happy that they got accepted into college. That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. So wait, you are happy you've been accepted to give them money. Imagine I said I was accepted to buy a Big Mac. I'm trying to give them money. If you accept me, oh thanks. You can only get loans for school, because if you could get loans for anything you wanted, nobody would choose school. Because they can't exist in a free and fair market. They have to keep a monopoly over the ability to enslave children with debt. Otherwise, no one will choose them, because there's no value in it, and everyone knows there's no value. But how matrix-minded do you have to be to actually still be happy about the idea you got accepted to a college? I nearly laughed. So these people have no idea how all this stuff works. They don't have a clue. Rich get richer. I'm sure you understand. Poor get poorer. Inflation, inflation, inflation. That sounds like higher house prices to me. Oh, you can't buy groceries. I'm sure that's very hard. We don't have to worry about those things. We own all the assets. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and there's no way to stop it. And I also feel like, because I think we need God. We talked about how messed up society is. I also feel like we're living in the last years where there's a hole in the matrix, where there's any degree of social mobility. I think we're gonna end up back at feudalism. There's gonna be kings, and there'll be everyone else. Right now, there's still a degree of social mobility where if you're intelligent and you're perspicacious and you're indefatigable and you work hard and you manage to find a gap and you really dedicate yourself and you try your best, you can make enough money to get out. In 20 years, the rich are gonna be rich and the poor are gonna be poor, and it's done.